Okay, brilliant. I think we are just about ready to start. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join us today. Welcome to our Charity Champions series. This will be a series of webinars where we will discuss topics. We always welcome thoughts on what those may be, and feel free to share any comments you've got on social media using the hashtag Charity Champions, as that's what all of you guys are. So yeah, first webinar in the series, a very relevant topic in the world today, virtual events, real results, 5 steps to driving successful and cost-effective online fundraising. Firstly, I'd like to run through a little bit of the functionality of this session. You can raise hands and ask questions in the chat, which you should see at the bottom of your screen. We've got some lovely people on the wings who will answer your questions throughout, but we will have a Q&A session at the end as well. So don't worry if you've got something that you'd like to ask, we'll get around to it at the end and follow up with any questions that we don't manage to answer in this session. So your team today who will be running through this webinar, that's myself, Becky Johnston. I've been a customer success manager for the last 7 years, working with non-profits, charities, research and healthcare organisations. So yeah, always kind of tech for good in this world. I will allow my lovely colleagues to introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Louise. I'm the Marketing Director at Charity Checkout. I have 15 years experience in marketing. Most recently was a CMO at Unruly, where I helped lots of charities, but also big brands like P&G and Mars and Unilever on their digital activation strategies. So really pleased to be here today, and hello.
Hi guys, my name is Amber. I've worked in the sales and account management roles now for around 6 years. I was an account manager at Primo Events for 3 years before recently just becoming a customer success manager at Charity Checkout.
So yes, Charity Checkout joined with Primo back in November 2019, bringing together the best of fundraising and events. And we've been working on the integration since then, delivering 1,600 events for charities in the last 12 months. But more recently, charities have been asking for something to support them with virtual events.
So just a little bit about what we do here at Charity Checkout. Our key focus is to provide fully branded digital donation, fundraising and event registration software. All of the products that we provide are fully branded from start to finish to ensure a consistent and streamlined user journey for your supporters. Our mission, which you can see on the screen now, is to transform digital fundraising by putting charities first. And you'll see the little award down at the bottom there. We're very proud to be the winner of the most committed company to the sector at the 2019 Fundraising Awards. Here are some examples of some of the charities we currently work with at the moment. So we currently work with 20 of the top 100 charities, and we've helped just over 4,000 charities raise over 60 million for good causes.
So probably why you are all here today. Digital fundraising was already building momentum, but obviously coronavirus has certainly accelerated this. We live in an age of information overload, and the online space can feel impersonal and lonely at times. Digital has many benefits, but it does need to be done right to make it feel personalized for your cause. The reality is that thousands of physical charity events have been postponed and cancelled. Donors are embracing the spirit of generosity, and they do want to help. So the time to act is now. So what are virtual events? Yeah, probably quite a simple concept, but they can be anything. They don't need to take place at a specific time or place and can allow supporters to participate in their own time wherever they are. You can allow them to combine their fitness goals, personal aspirations, hobbies, all of that with a passion for your cause. It allows supporters to engage with the wider event community through online channels. And a lovely example of this is that of James Campbell, who decided on the 30th of April he was going to run a marathon in his back garden. On the 1st of April, he set up a webcam, ran back and forth for 26.2 miles in a 6-metre back garden, raising £26,000. So while the need for virtual events has accelerated due to this pandemic, they are here to stay for the number of supporters they can reach and for the huge span you can use them for. So some pros and cons of virtual events here. So while physical events bring emotional engagement, accountability for reaching fundraising targets, they are extremely risky and require a lot of investment. They, in both cash and time for charity teams, and there is no guarantee of success. Whilst there is no guarantee that a virtual event will be a success, they do offer the chance for you to experiment without large upfront costs, and they can be adapted quickly and easily. Barriers to entry are drastically reduced by going virtual. You don't need to have any fitness level, a certain location or weather, and it doesn't affect a supporter's ability to take part. Virtual events are offering the opportunity to reach new audiences. Many of the people that participated in my marathon, for example, wouldn't have participated in a traditional marathon. So the technology required to participate in virtual events is already available. The apps required are free of charge most of the time, and it is estimated that around 1 in 6 people now own some form of wearable technology. So there are some downsides to virtual events, and we will kind of address these throughout the presentation. Things like less people going on to fundraise, some tech adoption gaps. But yeah, as I said, we will look at those. So new audiences do provide new opportunities for your charity. By removing physical, geographical, and fitness level barriers, you can reach these new audiences. Virtual events provide a proving ground, really, to see who your top fundraisers are and for future events. You can target both light and heavy supporters. So, you de-risk the allocation of massive amounts of resource into a few high network donors and open it up to a much larger demographic of supporters. Younger demographics may adopt virtual events quickly and easily, but older generations are being upskilled even in technology all the time, already with kind of online banking, online shopping, their food delivery. And even within this crisis, we see a huge uplift in video calls and online communication for older generations. However, much like an in-person event, the promotion is key. You need to use all of your digital channels to reach your supporters and encourage existing supporters to share their results. So again, engaging them on that online platform and increasing the reach of that event.
Okay guys, so over the next few slides, we're going to look at the 5 steps to driving cost-effective online fundraising. You'll see the 5 steps listed on your screen now. We will have time, as Becky mentioned at the beginning, we will have time for a very quick Q&A session at the end. But if you do have any questions as we go, please send them into the chat or the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen, and our lovely CS team will get back to you throughout the presentation. So our first step is to communicate clearly and with empathy. So given the nature of the current situation, the most important thing is the health and the well-being of your supporters. So it's important to keep the people's safety at the forefront of your message. On screen now, you'll see a great example from Christian Aid. They have provided a link to live advice as well as promoting the government's advice. They have also made it clear not to exercise if experiencing any of the symptoms of COVID-19. Another key point to note from this example is that they tell their supporters not to overdo it with their physical activity and to prepare for indoor activity if we go into a further lockdown, which hopefully doesn't look like it's going to be the case, but it's great to have that advice there anyway. It is important to innovate and iterate your physical annual events where possible. So if any of you guys do have an annual event coming up, instead of cancelling, can you find a way of adapting and making it virtual? even if it has to change ever so slightly. This is another example from Christian Aid. They're actually still planning to go ahead with their Christian Aid Week in May. They have provided their supporters with some helpful tips and communicated that they will share more details soon. So communication is key in these instances. So during these periods of isolation, supporters can be lonely, so especially if you were isolating alone. So it is important to give them hope and foster a sense of community. On screen now, you'll see an example from Cats Protection, who are actually encouraging people to engage on social media by posting pictures of them and their cat in isolation, and they've provided some hashtags to use in order to spread the cause even further. It's also a really good example of clear, concise instructions and contact details. So naturally at this time, a lot of supporters, if you have had events that have been cancelled or having to be rescheduled, it's obviously a worrying time for supporters, and they're looking for refunds, so they're looking for a bit of advice on what's going to happen with the events. So it is really important to put clear, concise messaging on your website of email addresses and phone numbers that they can contact. And just a quick summary then of our first point. So just to reiterate, our first point was communicate clearly and with empathy. So just to summarise, it's important to put a link to live advice and tell people to follow the government guidance. There's a lot of helpful government websites that are providing information, and it's also accessible across social media as well. Tell people not to overdo it if they have symptoms of COVID and not to exercise. Give supporters a choice, so don't always make it solely a physical activity such as running or cycling. Give them a choice of the type of activity that they do. Provide clear contact details, encourage them to engage on social media, and provide any free downloadable resources that you may have. And if you do have an annual event coming up, try and keep that in the pipeline and try and make it virtual.
Unmute myself. So our second point there is making your event action-based and trackable. So it's really important to make your supporters accountable in some way in order to reach your targets and engage with your event. So it's important to motivate them as well and give them goals to focus their engagement with your charity. But choice is vital. So giving supporters targets that they can adapt to their own environment, skill level and interest is going to be really important. So the My Marathon example here by British Heart Foundation, it's very inclusive and immediately personalises the event for the supporter. It is their marathon. It's language that is motivating and engaging, but not too intimidating. So it's at your own pace, in a safe space. So really catchy, really personalised, and not too intimidating for the participants. Another lovely example here is CDH UK. So this is an event that's created on the Charity Checkout platform. They've got a clear target here to walk the length of the UK, whether that's around their garden, in the house, or on a treadmill. So they have a distance and a time parameter to work towards within their ability and their environment. Here we have an example of the well-known 2.6 challenge. So you may have seen this being kind of launched across the industry. So beginning on the Sunday, the 26th of April, which should have been the 40th London Marathon event, charities are invited to encourage supporters to think of an activity based around the numbers 2.6 or 26. So that could be anything, 2.6 miles, 2.6 kilometers, 26 press-ups, 26 times up and down the stairs, 26 pancake flips, 26 cakes made, whatever it is that supporters can engage with. So as long as it follows the government advice on exercise and social distancing, it's a really nice, catchy thing that supporters can grab hold of and create a movement with. So again, you can create those sorts of pages through the Charity Checkout platform to fundraise, teams, individuals, and collect donations. Here, the Brain Tumor Research Organisation has a website section dedicated to their fundraising activities from home. And we really like this example as it gives a range of different activities that they could do. So whether that's an exercise bike, treadmill, HIIT, yoga challenge, It's inclusive, appeals to people's interests, and gives the donors choice about what they would enjoy most. Because if your fundraisers aren't enjoying the events challenge, they just won't stick to it or kind of get other people involved in it. So you could get even more creative with this kind of thing, you know, an exercise bike challenge to cycle the Tour de France, a yoga challenge to master new poses and post pictures, an exercise video, so something to do with Joe Wicks or high intensity, or just something like a back garden challenge, whatever that might look like. So again, about the action-based and trackable. So goals should be measurable and not subjective, however small or large. So for fitness, an integration with fitness apps that connect supporters' efforts to their fundraising page and contributes towards that goal is really helpful. So we're super excited to announce our new integration with Strava. It is a fitness app that's free to download on all devices, so anyone with a smartphone can participate. The integration will allow supporters to register for your virtual event, connect to Strava, and automatically post their progress updates to their fundraising page. This will enable participants to undertake your challenge at home, so activity indoors or outdoors, and key milestones can be used to help promote the events and engage your communities. So things like, you know, we're halfway there, we need your support. So the next slide shows is an example of what the connection to Strava looks like within the registration flow. It's quick and simple and can be done during registration or retrospectively. Strava is the first of our integrations, but we will look to other apps and trackers. So please share any ideas that you might have. You know, we're looking into everything from music to other kind of fitness and activity apps. So when linked to Charity Checkout, fundraising pages will be automatically created as part of the participant's registration, and no account creation is needed, and event pages are there to use straight away. So here you can see that when Strava is connected, workouts can be logged and automatically published to the fundraisers page. It can be total activity based on distance or time, and it will be completed as the fundraiser participates. Sharing options will be added to the page to encourage them to share this on social media and get others involved. So what if your event isn't a fitness event? So we have developed an update feature, if we pop back to the last slide, that allows you to post updates to your page. So personal or team pages can allow fundraisers to post updates, pictures, videos, any kind of content to allow it to kind of create it into a social media wall. So in that way, people can post pictures of the cakes they bake, the yoga poses that they do, videos of bad singing, karaoke, whatever it might be, to engage sponsors and engage the fundraiser with your charity.
Okay guys, so moving on to point 3, we're going to look at engaging your supporters. So one key point to remember is that it's not just about the fundraising. Obviously, it's quite a vital part of all of this, but the engagement is equally as important. Outlining and promoting the challenge and activity is just as important as promoting the cause itself. So it's important to include a fun and meaningful event to help engage supporters of all ages and not just solely ask for donations. To do this effectively, it is important to identify what your supporters' passions are and develop ideas based off these. It's really, really important to give supporters a variety of virtual events and not just focus solely on running and cycling related activities. You'll see some of the examples on the screen at the moment, and Becky has listed some examples previously. So the likes of different cooking challenges, arts and crafts challenges, video game tournaments have been quite popular. And you can also host the likes of virtual dinner parties or a virtual come dine with me. So don't be scared to ask your supporters for their ideas. Crowdsourcing ideas can be really valuable for both the short term and the longer term, and it allows the supporters to feel more connected to the cause. So you may actually gather some great ideas that you can use once the lockdown has been lifted, and once everything is back to normal. You may get some long-term fundraising ideas from it as well as those for short-term virtual fundraising. So supporters really appreciate tangible reasons and descriptions for their fundraising, as it's more motivating and relatable. This is an example on the screen at the moment from WWF, who have actually related gaming, the number of gaming hours to different bits of wildlife. As you'll see, like a game like a gorilla or be a tiger twitcher. So that just kind of is relating an example that will really reach out to the younger population, especially those who enjoy gaming, and it also gets that tangible description across and relates it to their cause. So it's important to make it as easy as possible for supporters to fundraise. You'll see on the screen at the moment, this is the current flow that's actually used by a lot of charities. A participant will land on the charity website, and they'll then move on to a separate platform to purchase a ticket to the event, and they'll then move on to a third platform in order to set up a fundraising page with a third-party fundraising provider. So as participants move across this flow, there really is a lack of charity branding, and the charity identity gets less and less as they move through this process. There's usually multiple logins as well, again, especially whenever they're setting up fundraising pages, and quite often different tabs open within their browsers. So as moving through this process, with both that charity identity becoming less and less, the message gets lost, and the last thing that they'll remember is a third-party fundraising provider branding their message. So you'll see as they move through the process, there is significant drop-offs. Those drop-offs, coupled with the fact that your charity message will get less and less as they go, can obviously lead to significantly less fundraising pages being created. So at Charity Checkout, we've developed an all-in-one event reg and fundraising product. So you'll see on the screen now the flow has changed ever so slightly. We carried out some research with Primo on our 4 fundraising integrations that we had at the time, and we've actually found direct correlations between the number of steps taken to create a page and page creation rate. So the more steps that people had to take in order to create a fundraising page, there was a more significant drop in page creation rates. So you'll see that on the screen that we've actually developed a product that will combine that fully branded event registration and the fully branded fundraising pages all under one umbrella. And there's also a fully branded donor journey as well. We've reduced the steps needed to create a fundraising page, and we've also removed that login process for participants, which leads to a 100% page activation rate.
So point number 4 is to embrace the fundraising from home revolution. We really like this idea. It allows you to reach individuals that may have more time in their daily routines to engage with an activity or challenge. There's no commute, there's no gym access, and for many, there are now children to entertain. So look into your corporate partnerships to see if they would like to turn kind of simple daily challenges for their employees into something for the greater good. Organize a dress up or dress down day, share photos and comments, and build a community in home workers. CSR is more important than ever to keep spirits up and employees connected. And that's what we're hearing from a lot of the corporate partners that we have. But obviously, even if you do not have a corporate partnership, targeting those employees at home could be a really nice way to give them something interesting, engaging, and uplifting in their day, but also connect them to your cause. So it's really beneficial to use topical events to plan your virtual events around. Giving Tuesday is being launched next month, a campaign that lots of supporters are already aware of and participate in. You can also look around campaigns for the NHS services. Sharing links to related events on your social media is a good way to raise your profile with something that already resonates with supporters and that is supporting the structure of the UK. So look to industries that are thriving in this climate. You've got online entertainment, online education, remote learning, online food shops, health and wellness, is there anything with this kind of booming industries that you can look to base your virtual events around, or connect with, to do a kind of a joint campaign? This is a lovely example of Soundabout in Oxfordshire. They help people who have complex disabilities by developing their ability to communicate through music and sound. So they leveraged a Facebook Live platform to stream their performances to audiences. Viewers can engage in a chat, and it's an inexpensive way to reach a lot of people on social media. Their choir made headlines on BBC, and now they run these making music jam sessions on Facebook Live, and people can enjoy it over the stream. Success of these sessions is generating a buzz from viewers and viewers from social media on Facebook and Twitter. So it's a really nice way to kind of make your cause viral. Another lovely example here for all the dog fans. It's Support Dogs. They're building on their cancelled Eurovision events, and they're organising a virtual talent show to engage supporters using Facebook Live and YouTube. Prompts for donation on this sort of event can be made multiple times during a stream. So during a physical event where you only have kind of one chance to ask donors for donation, here you can give several prompts. So if they see something they like or something they really engage with, that might prompt them to give at any time during this talent show. And you can only imagine how fun this would be to watch.
All right, so we're now coming to the final piece of advice before we go to a demo. So that is to put your cause centre stage. So what we mean by this is really thinking about your brands. So brands are like incredibly powerful assets to support your cause. Of course, the strongest ones are valued at billions, as we see here with Cancer Research, British Heart Foundation. It's really actually important for charities of all sizes. It makes your cause more memorable, it builds an emotional connection with supporters, and it increases intent to give as well. Even more important as well online, where giving can sometimes feel intangible or not as tangible as when you're giving a physical event. And a strong brand personality really, increases your fundraising income. The majority of kind of purchase decisions that we make in our lives, and this includes giving as well, are emotional. So there's a Harvard Business Study review that shows that 95% of the decisions that we make are emotional and 5% are rational. And a brand is a really, really integral part of this. The problem is that sometimes branding space, and this can become a problem. Charities with brand names can actually become confused, and donors can be unsure what they're actually giving to. We did our own study last year, and we found that 46% of those can't actually remember who they gave to when they last sponsored a friend online. They couldn't remember who charity benefited. And the average person can only remember the name of 9 charities. So the problem here, of course, is the supporters may not remember you moving forward once they've given, kind of leaving you with missed opportunities. And it can be really tempting right now to not think about branding. We're all so busy. And obviously the crisis has thrown lots of problems at us, but there's a lot of kind of significant research out there that proves that you need to continue to think about your brand during hard times, because it means that you will bounce back quicker once the crisis is over and it's time to recover. So you really need to be spending as much on your branding as your direct response marketing, or at least thinking about it as much. And here you can see some really strong statistics. Brands that go dark during recessions really suffer from quite significant brand metric declines, and that kind of cutting spend during these times can be difficult. Here, just kind of summarising, there's kind of 3 key benefits as we see it to branding. So one of that is obviously to boost your share of voice. Secondly, you want to kind of engage and establish trust with your supporters. and make them feel good long after the crisis. And really, you know, here we've got a brilliant example, which I love. It's the National Trust that was on their Instagram page. It's got a really strong logo. It's got animals and the great outdoors featured within it. And the message shows kind of hope after the crisis, which I think is lovely. But the core point here is it's using their core brand codes, the logo, the message, the images. It could really only be them who's doing this, and it just makes it more memorable for supporters. Here's another really lovely example. So Mind here, hosting virtual fundraising ideas, but they're all anchored around their 5 ways to wellbeing, so their pledges. So they have ideas like virtual craft, mindfulness, decluttering and learning, and all of these things have been proven to help mental health and wellbeing. So they've really put their charity and their cause at the centre of the events that they're recommending. And here's just a really fun example from the RSPCA. So they have kind of a downloadable quiz questions that you can take from their website. And all the questions are about animals, which are actually, you know, I love this because it really reinforces what their cause is all about. And as people are playing it, they remember the RSPCA. So it's really, really effective. I'm just going to hand over, as we're going to show a quick demo of the form in action now.
Okay guys, so hopefully you can all see my screen. In the last webinar I did have some technical difficulties with my Wi-Fi, so if things run a little slow, I do apologise. If you could bear with me, that would be brilliant. So this is an example of one of our clients, Little Lifts, who have set up their very first virtual marathon. This example doesn't unfortunately have the Strava integration in there, as the Strava integration will be launched within the next few weeks. But this is just an example of that all-in-one fully branded event registration and fundraising page. So we'll see at the moment, this is the Little Lifts website. The participant will land on their website and they'll click on the CTA to buy tickets, and that page will automatically redirect then onto the registration form. So the registration form itself is fully customizable in terms of branding. You'll see you can actually customize the colors in both the header and the footer image, along the progress bar, your background colors, banner images, and any of the pre-text as well. You can also set up multiple different entry points. So once a participant clicks on register, it will take you through to the registration form. Once my Wi-Fi gets in gear, there we go. So it will take you through to the registration form. So the registration form itself is fully customizable as well. By default, all it needs to have in order to process is a first name, last name, and email address, which means that you guys can remove the likes of date of birth, gender, and physical address if they're not needed. There are some checkers in the background which will double check that it's a correct email address, and there's also some basic validation on our phone numbers and a basic address lookup as well. You'll see here an example on the screen for GDPR. So neither Primo or Charity Checkout market to any of your participants. So we don't need to pull in any of our own GDPR questions. You guys have full control over any of the GDPR questions that can be pulled through. So you can keep these consistent across all of your events, or you can chop and change it on an event by event basis to see which works best for yourself. Once we then hit continue, we'll take it through to a confirmation page. So this will allow the participant to register another person if they need to, and they could go through and purchase their ticket. I'm just going to go back in and actually, let me see. Yep, purchase the ticket. The next stage will then ask for your card details. So if everybody could close their eyes and not note these card details down, that would be perfect. It'll just take information about a basic billing address as well. Once it processes the payment and the payment is submitted, you'll see then that they'll get a notification that they're registered for the event. Once they've registered for the event, then they'll have the option to start their fundraising. So the fundraising page has been automatically created for them in the admin area. So once they hit continue then, it will take them through to their fundraising page wizard. So all the stages now going forward are fully configurable by the charity, so by yourselves. So you can remove the stages going forward and pre-populate these values for the participants. So if you prefer to pre-populate the values of the target, we can remove that step. It's the same with the profile picture, which they're prompted to upload. They have the option to upload a banner image, or they can choose to use the default image if they would like. And it's the same with the story as well. So you guys can pre-populate that story on their behalf and remove this step, and they can go back in and edit it at a later stage. Or you can leave this step in their fundraising page wizard and they can populate it themselves as they go. A little bit of GDPR. And then they have the option to customize their page link as well. So they can customize that page link to make it a little bit more accessible, or change it however they would like. And once they do that, then that's the process all done. They can share it on Facebook and Twitter. They can copy the link if they would like. And once they hit finish, it'll take them through to their fully branded fundraising page. So you'll see automatically they're prompted to add in the first donation themselves if they would like, so they can donate to their own page. You'll see it's pulled in the banner image, which again, they'll have the option to go in and they can change the background image, their profile picture, and their page story. So they can go in and change those at a later date if they would like. Here's our fundraising update section, which Becky spoke about earlier. Basically allows participants to upload daily updates and keep their supporters up to date with how they're getting on during their challenges. There's the option to actually link to the events page itself. So you can go through and you can see everyone who's fundraising for the virtual marathon at the moment. There's a link through to the charity profile, which will take you through to the overall Little Lifts profile, and you can see all the different fundraising events that they're hosting at the moment and give you the opportunity to join those. And you'll see we do also have a leaderboard in there as well, which will show all of our top raisers and the option to join the event. You see as well, if I click on this donate button, that the donor journey is also fully branded as well. So again, you have full control of the header and the footer colors, the progress bar, and any of the logos that are pulled in. And again, so they can work through, the donors can work through a fully branded donation process. And just lastly then, this is just an example of the overall Little Lifts Virtual Marathon page. So you'll see if been able to pull in information about the event. You'll see any of the recent donations, and again, any of the targets that they can reach, and all of their top fundraisers down at the bottom. So I'm now just going to pass back over to Louise and Becky, who are going to take you guys through a quick Q&A session.
Lovely. Okay, so we've got, if you'd like to start popping in some questions, I'm going to run through some of these now. So we've got, we had a few questions around the cost of Strava integration, and that's all part of our event and fundraising suite. So there's no extra cost to the current package that we provide for that. So get in touch if you'd like some more information. Do we integrate with databases and CRMs, including Donify? Is another question we've had. So we do offer some third-party integrations to most CRMs, and we are developing direct integrations to the top 5 CRMs, which will be available within the next couple of months. But we have a few different options to work with whatever CRM database you guys are using, and we can help you with any kind of queries and data transfer that you might need. So when people donate, is there an option of gift aid? Absolutely. So we can collect gift aid on any donation or fundraising donation collected through the platform. We have a fee for processing that gift aid, which again we can share with you. But what we will do is send that off to HMRC automatically every month, and that gift aid will be paid to you shortly after by HMRC. So we will obviously share this deck with you following this session. Just having a look. Any more questions? Yes, of course. Again, presentation slides will be shared for your attention, along with contact details of who you can get in touch with if you're interested in implementing the Charity Checkout platform. If you do have events, a couple of questions around events that you want to launch ASAP. Absolutely, we can get platforms up and running and events created very, very, very quickly. So don't worry about timescales. We will be on hand to help as soon as you need. So an interesting question here, can virtual events be effective even with a small supporter base? And is there evidence of virtual events growing supporters and repeat giving? So certainly we are collecting more and more data around virtual events as we have more and more being launched. And we'll be happy to share that at a later date when we've got a little bit more kind of evidence data. But yes, they can absolutely be effective within a small supporter base. So some of the examples that we've seen with clients are creating events with small numbers of people to achieve maybe a bit more of a challenging target for those people, or it might be a very select specific event just for a small number of people that can be highly engaged. So the advantage to that small supporter base is that obviously you've got a higher level of engagement, you've got more opportunities to contact those individuals and have more touch points. So absolutely they can be effective with small supporter bases and still reach a large amount of sponsorship. But obviously on the flip side, virtual events do allow you to reach nationally and any number and abroad as well, any number of new supporters. So you can kind of maybe A/B test a small supporter base virtual event alongside a larger supporter base event and see which works best for your charity. But certainly in future webinars, we'll be happy to show any kind of any data-driven things we discover on kind of virtual events. One last question. I think we are just coming to the end of our session. Has anyone done virtual auctions and raffles? So absolutely. I think you always obviously things like race nights, auctions, raffles, certainly look at kind of, the gambling website guidance, but we have lots of charities taking part in kind of these virtual events types to raise money. So certainly that's possible. It depends on whether you'd like to kind of share a streaming link to hold that auction or raffle, how you'd like to kind of work that operationally with your organization. But you can certainly kind of collect any number of things from your supporters, whether that's a registration for a ticket or kind of a voluntary donation for the raffle. So certainly, yeah, that's something that can be supported through the platform, and we have some nice examples of those. So we can reach out to you after this presentation. So I think that brings us nicely to the close of this session. Please, if you've got any other questions, throw them in the chat now, and we'll make sure we get back to you following this presentation. But thank you so much for your time. We will share all of this information with you after, and hopefully continue some conversations with all of the amazing organizations you guys are part of. So stay safe. Thank you so much, and have a lovely rest of your Wednesday.